Hello.
Hi,
How is it going?
it's going fine. How are you doing? Hi, buddy.
We're doing well. We're doing well. Darren is alive.
Darren's alive. That's good.
He's ready to divulge everything over the whole 3 days of torture.
So this is gonna be mostly Jake and Darren pod. Your
Yeah, I think we're good. Yeah. Yeah, I think we're gonna have to let Darren take it today. Yeah. It's like we come back strong, but not so strong. Not actually as strong as we want.
all right.
Anyway, it's good to see you. Good to see you in Chelsea.
Yeah.
We missed, hi, we missed doing the pod, so we're
Yeah.
back. We're happy to be back.
So this is the first pod in it'll be 3 weeks we've missed, but it's been even longer since we potted because we were banking a couple. So
Yeah,
we
yeah,
talked in like over a month.
yes. Which for the float pod is
Unexpected,
very rare, unacceptable
rare,
even.
rare.
Wow, the whole gang is here. The whole gang is here.
Okay, how about me and Darren chat Azor? Is it
Yeah,
Azores or Azores?
Azores. I'm
Az
gonna let you and Darren like go through the.
okay. You look trim.
Thank you. That's probably all the throwing up. No, all the running training for the race. Actually, I did lose a little bit of weight. Also, it took so much time because my training runs were starting to take so long. As you start to get into those higher mileages, when one of your runs that week has to be 20 miles, it takes so long. I didn't have time to go to the gym, so I started losing weight.
So I was looking at it. It was 90 kilometers over 3 days. Is that right?
Yeah, I don't know the kilometer number. So the first day was it was a hair under 16 miles. Second day was a hair under 16, and then the third day was 21.34.
Okay. So you never do like a full marathon, but you're doing like crazy miles every day.
Yeah, and it's 3 straight days.
Oh man. And is it hills or is it flat?
Oh man, there's so much hills.
Oh really?
So much hills. The last day was the 21-mile day, had 6,000 feet of elevation gain,
Wow.
according to my watch. It was like 5,900 something.
So
So it was
when did you decide to do it?
so a couple friends of mine were doing it, and they were trying to convince other people to come, and they started trying to convince me to come, and my buddy Thomas. And then Thomas kind of hurt his foot and he wasn't going to go. And I had already said I'd go. So I had one of them made a training schedule for me. So I started training and I was like, well, I'm committed to this. I already paid to go. So I'm doing this. And then Devin, of course, was like, couldn't miss an opportunity to run. So he
Yeah.
jumped in. And so uh, Crescinda and Marissa were the ones that convinced me to do this because they were running it. And they had just run the Chicago Marathon just before.
Oh,
So
okay.
they're both like established runners, you could say.
Seasoned?
Seasoned. Yeah, they're seasoned. And one of them made my training schedule. So I started running, and this is a trail run the whole way, which is pretty. It's so much funner than road running
Yeah.
because you see all kinds of cool stuff. So like literally day one, we fly there, and we fly to the island of Pico day one, and so we get there, and it is epically beautiful. They
Mm.
say the Azores are like the Hawaii of Europe. They're very tropical, flowers and very green. And uh, it was when we first got there. Like we get off the plane, we're like apparently not a ton of flights go there to this island Pico because there was when we were must have been the last plane that day because it was then when we walked out of the airport they locked the doors, shut the whole thing down,
Oh wow.
and we had no cab because all the cabs had been taken because we were the last off the plane, and we're like, how do we get to town from here? So they said there'll be the one last taxi said when he took half our group, he said, "I'll tell one of the other taxi drivers to come back for you if you still need a taxi." And so this other guy just drives up, and we were like, "Are you the taxi guy?" He's like, "Huh? No, and we don't speak Portuguese, good, but Devin kind of does.
Yeah,
He speaks Brazilian Portuguese. Turns out, not the same.
it's a little different.
A little different." So this guy's just a random dude, and he's like, "You know what? Forget it. I'll take you." He just loads us all
Wow.
up, loads in all our stuff. Super nice and friendly. He even took us even though Devin had like a 8 or 9 foot surfboard
Yeah,
with him that we had to strap to the roof of his car.
yeah.
Dude
Sounds
was
about right.
just super nice and yeah, that tracks. So we load that up and so he's taking us. We told him where we're staying. He's like, I know exactly where that is. And so when he takes us to our hotel, he drives us right about sunset, and
Oh,
then he
wow.
drives us out right on the coast because where we're staying is right on the coast. And he took a little turn and goes up this little side routes on the coast, and it was beautiful.
Wow.
The waves were insane. They were so heavy and so big, and there's these rocks out in the water, and there's big waves hitting these, and the sun's setting behind it.
Oh
And
my.
I was like, this is what we're in for. This is going to be great.
That's
And there's,
awesome.
of course, this big, huge, hulking mountain in the back to the left, Mount Pico, that we're going to have to go up the next day. So we get there, get some rest, we get up in the morning, and ran day one, which
Wow.
didn't, that was a little tough for me day one because, you travel all this stuff, but I don't always make the best choices. Like, we were running, and I'm doing fine the first half. She's like, you've made some good choices, pointing at herself. But we about halfway through, I'd never, this is my first ever race. I've never run a race before, and the girls drank Coke, but the boys didn't drink Coke. And I was like, they're the experienced racers here. I should probably drink some Coke because the sugar metabolizes quick. I don't think that was a good idea for me.
Oh, really?
And then, and yeah, Melissa also pointing out the fact that on the way up the mountain, I'm like, oh, blackberries. And I picked them. Mind you, I'm in a foreign country. Not everything that looks like a blackberry is going to be a blackberry.
Right.
Start eating it, and I'm like, that doesn't taste like a blackberry. So,
You
so I'm
drank
like,
Coke and poisoned yourself before the first race.
oh, this is about halfway into the race.
Oh, this is, oh, okay. Gotcha.
And so I spit it all, as much of it out as I could. I swallowed some of it. And then so by the top, my stomach was kind of upset. And we're going steady uphill to the top of Mount Pico's uphill the whole way.
Oh, man.
And they kept us from going clear to the top because the weather was bad. We wouldn't have seen anything from the top that day anyway because the fog had covered it. Clouds will cover the top of it,
Yeah.
depending on the day. The day we got there, crystal clear. The next day, foggy on the top. You couldn't see, got cold.
Oh, wow.
But every day after that, I didn't have any more issues with my belly, so I got a little bit better each day
Cool.
as far as like how I did in the races. But day one was pretty. The next day was even prettier on another island because so the next morning we went to bed on Pico that night, got up in the morning, grab all our stuff, get on a ferry. And like I told you before, the waves were real crazy. It
Yeah.
was nuts. We get on that ferry and it's like boom,
Oh, wow.
boom. And people start getting sick, start throwing up. And some of the racers are not doing too hot. And I'm like, it's going to be a long day. It's an hour and a half ferry to the next island to San George. And that was a real pretty island, too. And it was, that was an interesting ride. We get there. One of the guys that we knew that was running the race, he puked like 6 times on the ferry.
Oh, geez.
And he had said in advance, he's like, I get seasick. So I took a bunch of meds. But he stayed in the cab. All the rest of us, I was starting to get woozy and on the boat myself. And I was like, I got to go outside
Yeah.
and where I can see. And Devin was like, "Holy cow, the gap between these waves! It's like you fall 10 feet." It's like, boof.
Oh, my goodness.
But it was wild. we got to where we got to the island. They give us a few minutes. They shuttle us to the starting point, give us a few minutes to kind of settle and get a snack, and then off to the races again.
So the first day, 16 miles, mostly uphill, up the mountain, and then this one's another 16 miles. What kind of terrain was that?
Um, it was up and down a lot more. This one was interesting. There was a lot of uphill in it too, but it was, instead of being like day one, they put you through fields that didn't have a real trail on real loose sod type stuff. And this one, you put a lot of, they started us up on a hill and straight away dropped us off it to the coast,
Oh, wow.
to the water, and then through a small town, and then back up. So this one was like up, down, up, down, up, down, and then they kind of spit us out clear the other side of the island,
Hmm.
and it was super fun because I was feeling a lot better that day. So we get down to the other side, and I finished towards the back of our group day one, and so this day two I was feeling pretty good because I wasn't whatever I hadn't done. I avoided some of the things I did day one. So then I'm hoofing it into the last quarter of it, and I'm like feeling pretty good. So I start picking up the pace, and so one of the other girls starts picking up the pace, and she stays right with me, and then the other girls then Marissa starts catching up with us, and we started through some of these towns that we after we come off the mountain that are on that these little coastal towns, and they put us in a water crossing, and we went through the water crossing. We were passing people, and Marissa, there was a guy watching the one spot because it's concrete going in, then it turns to just random rocks
Oh, geez.
all underwater, and you can't really see it good. So there's a guy there telling you need to turn here in the water to make it to the other side, and he wasn't paying attention when Marissa got there, so she missed the turn, and whoop,
Oh, no.
into the deeper water, falls, busts her knee open, ends up having to, and it's like at that point you're so close to the finish line.
Yeah.
And she gets to the finish line, knees busted and bleeding, has to go get her like knee all gets it. They put her in the ambulance. They have to take super glue and bandages and like
Uh,
tape it all back closed, super glue it shut.
so she
But
finished, but then she had to deal with that.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that was on day two. And that day was we got there, and like we see one of the guys from our group, Crescenda's husband Brent is there, and I was like, he rode a scooter there, and I was like, oh, that's awesome. Is Melissa coming? And he's like, oh yeah, the girls are coming. I was like, please tell me Melissa's on the back of someone else's scooter, and he's like, nope, she's she's doing it on her own. He's like, we gave her plenty of instruction. I was like, oh my god, because it's straight up a mountain and then straight down a mountain with curves and craziness, and she's never ridden a motorcycle, so I don't know. I was like, oh god, and she made it. She did a good job. I was super shocked and super pumped for her. Proud, actually.
That was her Azores run, was
Yeah,
not
that was.
not crashing the scooter on the way to the finish line.
Yeah, we nicknamed them the SOS. Please stop stop our spouses, because they were nuts. They actually did a lot of good stuff. They shuffled all our gear to where the hotels while we were starting the race, and then after that they'd go get a meal, and then they'd go get scooters and run around or go do something.
Yeah.
And the scooter day, they on day two on what was it, San George, they had gone all the way up these mountains and stuff, and it was an automatic scooter, so it wasn't crazy, but they were
Yeah.
actually kind of fast. I
That's cool.
I gotta take it for a little spin later before we turned them in, and I was like, oh, I'm so glad she didn't kill herself.
What were you like your times? It was like around 3 hours ish.
Yeah, actually, if I had my phone, I could tell you. Yeah, I think it varied day to day. The big day would have been the third day when I did. Yeah, the third day took me 5 hours. So 5 hours, 12 minutes, and it was I went 21.34 miles, 5,902 feet of elevation gain.
Wow.
So day two though, the 15, it was like 15 something, almost 16. That took me 3 hours, 39 minutes.
Cool.
but it only had like 3,600 feet of elevation gain.
Oh, okay.
The uphill makes a huge difference.
So then you get done with the second, and then it's the same thing. You stay there that night, and the next morning take a ferry to the last one.
Yeah, so same thing again. Every day the water got calmer a little bit, so the ferry ride wasn't quite as bad.
Mm.
And the one guy in our group who had a real hard time, that had puked a bunch of times, the day two, he was woozy by the time he got off, but he didn't get sick.
Yeah.
So the water had calmed way down, and he did pretty good that time. And then we ran that was good because we were starting a 21-mile day, which was entertaining because that day, man, that was probably the prettiest day when we were on the island of Fial, and we went up and down some hills straight from the get go, and like you start where you start off, it's all volcanic, so this is it looks like Mars, real barren, and sand, like the sand is all kinds of different colors, like dark colors, and you start off up in that, and then it goes into this lush jungle, and you're uphill, downhill, and then you hit this steady hard uphill on barely unbeaten path, straight up the side of a volcano.
Oh, wow.
You get to the top of the volcano, and the view is epic.
Oh, that's
We
cool.
also could have made better time if we wouldn't have stopped to look and take pictures so many times.
Yeah. Is that what people are doing because it's so pretty? Like, are they not really worried about their time, or are they taking it in and taking pictures, or are they just running and just
The ones who finished towards the top, they weren't messing around. They were steady getting it. But I wasn't. I know I'm not going to win this race. I just want to be able to. My big things. I want to complete it. I want to accomplish this, but I really want to see it. And it was a really fun, interesting way to see these islands because you're seeing, like the one day there's an aqueduct that's like a concrete trough that's like that wide and yay deep,
yeah.
and it's channeling water off this mountain back to this town, and there's kind of halfway a trail that runs with it. And so we ran this aqueduct all a long way. You'd never even see that or go there if and it was super cool. Just the whole and the little reservoirs. It was such a rad day
That's
that
cool.
day. We
Sweet.
were in it was people from all over the world too. The guy who won it was a German guy. He got first place every single day.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, he was a very determined individual.
Were you doing like how big were your runs leading up to it?
Training, so it got to where I was doing where it gradually stepped up as I got close, and towards the end, the longest days were like 12, 14, 20.
Oh, wow.
And so like it'd alternate weeks. So one week it'd be towards the end, like let's say it was 12, 14, 20, but it'd be 12 day off, 14 day off, 20. But then at the peak, it's those days, three in a row. And
Oh,
then
wow.
like a week to 2 weeks before you start to taper back off the other direction to kind of start resting up and getting ready. It was being that I've never done this before, my biggest thing was how much time it took
Yeah.
because it's just so time consuming, especially when you're busy all the time. We're all busy all the time,
Yeah.
but you got to get your runs in.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's like you get home from something, and I finished a lot of my runs in the dark.
Yeah. So now that you're home, are you done running, or are you like doing something different, or just running for fun?
I'm going to run for fun some still because I do enjoy it, especially out on trails. It's a fun way to get some exercise and see stuff. I had a friend come in this weekend, and we did kind of a half run, half hike, 3 miles up on Dolly Sods to, and that was the first I'd run since. And as soon as I got home from Portugal, I got sick,
Yeah.
and so I plan on doing some running. That was the first little effort of and it went fine. But then later that night, my stomach was destroyed again, so maybe it wasn't.
Do you think it was from what you ate, like you were eating there, or you just got sick because you just got sick?
Um, it's fairly likely it was food poisoning, but like I was fine. I got off the plane in DC. It took us forever to get to the car and got to the car and we got stuck in some traffic and all that. I was fine for all the plane rides and the taking the metro around DC to get back to the car and all that stuff. And that was all fine. And then on the way home we stopped and got Chick-fil-A and then my belly didn't feel right after that. And I'm not saying this is Chick-fil-A that did this to me,
Please
but
don't sue us, Chick-fil-A.
yeah, uh, I'm just I was just like, maybe something was brewing because I didn't eat all day. I was
Yeah.
starving, got a big mess of food, ate it all, and was like, man, my belly don't feel right. And then by the time I got home, I was like, man, my belly really is just kind of messed up. I was like, I'll be fine. I went to bed and I woke up and then it was coming out both ends and it was rough.
Um,
I guarantee I lost a little bit of weight on that one.
yeah.
So
Um,
I today was the first day I was like, I can start lifting. I need to start exercising again, and because it's been a week. I've been home a week, and like I've just been sick the whole time, and I
yeah.
still have to go to work, and I've burned up all my vacation time.
Yeah.
But I want to now that I've done one of these races, I want to kind of stay in some reasonable form of shape in in case I find another one so that I can be less of an uphill climb like it was at the beginning to like when I was doing my early runs, I'd never run farther than 13 miles. And when I hit the first time I hit 14, it was like 95-degree day.
Oh
And I was like,
man.
this is the hardest thing I've ever done.
Yeah.
I
Do,
ran 20 milers that were easier than it.
yeah. Do you think you'll ever try like a triathlon, like where you're biking and swimming too? Like, would you ever want to do like the Ironman?
That would be pretty cool. I'd always be afraid of drowning though. Like you because you go run so far, then you're tired, you dive in the water, and you're like, "Blah, blah, 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 blah."
I could see
I
you
would
eating.
actually,
I could see you eating something and cramping. Like, oh, this. I don't know what this is, but I'll eat this, and then cramping in the water and drown.
and then be like, save me. Yeah, that would be bad. I would actually like to. That would be a pretty cool thing to try. I think I would consider that for sure.
Yeah.
I'd have to start training a little different, of course,
Yeah.
and
My
pedal
friend
bike
Kevin,
again.
Kevin, my buddy in Washington, I think he did the half in Kona, but the training for that is like, it's a lot.
Yeah, if the training for this race was a lot, it'd be even worse for that because you got to incorporate swimming and running and biking.
Yeah.
I have a friend in Florida that just did something like that. That's another thing is where in the world am I going to swim that far here? River, it's hard to swim up a river that way.
It's true.
I'll be out in the middle of Mount Storm Lake or something and boats running over me.
Yeah. Oh man, well that's cool. Where'd you guys go after? You went somewhere after the runs.
So yeah, we went back to the main island and just to, you know, recover. And there was a little spa resort kind of thing, hotel place called Octant. And so we went there and it's a in a town called Furnace and it's got a bunch. Furnace has got a bunch of hot springs because these being volcanic islands like that, there's all kinds of crazy stuff like that. So we started going around to the different hot springs, and they had some gardens and all kinds of cool stuff. So we went to all the different hot springs. There's a creek that runs right close to Octant, and you can like walk up the road, and that creek has a spot where they've poured a little concrete wall because there's like piping hot water coming out of that wall
Oh wow.
in a little tube. So they just put a little concrete box there on the edge of the creek, and that water was scalding hot.
It's like
I
a
mean,
spring? It's like spring water?
Yeah, it was 111 degrees, I guess.
Oh,
So we were easing down in this 111 degree water, and if you don't move, it's not as bad. But if you start to move around, it's just like every time somebody gets in and out next to you, it's like reignites the fire.
yeah,
And
that's
then
super hot.
we get out and then get in the creek, and the creek was like 55, 56 degrees,
Yeah,
and do a little cold plunge. You just lay there and oh, and then get back in the hot one. After you do it a few times, it kind of feels good.
yeah. We did that in Iceland because there's a spot you hike up. It's like 2 mile hike in, and it's. Do you know how hot the hot water was?
No.
It was really hot, like not bearable. But then it meets this cold creek, and so you'd kind of like move the rocks around so that they hit a certain way, and then you sit in that pool because they meet. But then the farther you go down, it gets to like 90s and 80s. But if you want it really hot, you got to be like right where the two meet, and then like move the rocks around so they kind of blend the right way. And
That's a cool idea.
it was super nice. It's super cool up there. You're like up in the mountains, and then it gets a little deeper, so you can sit in it. But then you'd go up to the cold side and you'd lay in the cold water as long as you could, where it was like freezing, and then get back into the super hot water. And it's pretty cool up there.
They say that stuff's really good for you to do those cold plunges and then get in the hot. It's kind of takes your body's thermostat and does a bunch of stuff with it. Kind
Yeah.
of keeps you
And then they say to
keeps you
end on the cold and then make your body heat itself up on its own. And it's supposed to be like super good for you. It'd be
yeah.
cool to have like a cold plunge in like a sauna, just that you could do every day.
Yeah, I would so love to have that. Uh, we we probably eventually will do that because we started. Devin has that sauna and we got him the cowboy tub. That's the
Yeah.
water trough, and for their anniversary that year. And ever since then, when we all go up there, we'll load up bags of ice and have a cold plunge outside the sauna, and you do the sauna for a little while, and then somebody gets their stopwatch out. Let's see how long you can make it.
Oh man, we should go down there this winter.
Yes, you should. Oh man, you imagine doing
Yeah.
that with like we wouldn't even have to bring that much ice because we'd have snow.
You have snow everywhere. You can just dump it in there.
That'd be awesome.
Oh man, that'd be super cool.
We got to plan that.
Yeah, let's do it.
That'd be epic.
We're close enough. We can make it for a weekend.
Yeah.
So do you have any more
That's,
trips planned this winter?
uh, this was the big trip, so I kind of made sure I didn't plan anything too major because I wanted to make sure I got this done and that we could pay for it.
Yeah.
But I don't really have, we may be actually coming up that direction to do a hike in the Adirondacks. We'll see in December because a couple years ago, or no, last year we did it and it dumped like 2 or 3 feet of snow
Oh
on
geez.
us on the way, and we had to snowshoe into this cabin that doesn't have electric, does have propane to heat everything, and that's the lights in the place are all little propane lamps.
Oh yeah.
And we had hiked in, there was like 10 of us, and it's 4 miles to the cabin, which does not seem like a lot. But when you're tramping in snowshoes, carrying all your gear for the next day, it was it got dark and it was getting sketchy.
Oh wow.
And so I was like, the girls had gotten a head start on us, so I went up to catch up with them. And then I was like, you know what? This is taking so long, it's starting to get scary. So I think I'm going to leave you guys and I'm going to head on and make sure I get there because they're really starting to drag because a couple of them had pretty heavy packs and were struggling with them a little bit. And so I went ahead and got up ahead, find the place, dump my stuff, come back. And Melissa's already rubbed like a blister on the back of her heel, like this big, because she was trying to save her hiking boots for the next day. So she wore like normal boots, and
Sounds
that was a
sounds
bad
about right.
choice. Yeah, sounds about right. That tracks. And so she had two like JanSport style backpacks, one on her front, and one on her back. So I take one of those. I said, go ahead and go on. And I went back, and then one of the girls had a big backpack, and I gave her Melissa's JanSport backpack. I took her big one, and we hoof it on in, and we still beat the boys there by like a while. But they had to carry a lot more stuff than we did. I had all my gear, but they had the food basically. That's the additional thing that they had, and they were dragging that on a sled, which slowed them down.
Oh yeah.
So then we got there, it was rough.
Yeah.
So the
Did
next day,
is it the JanSport backpack that she had in high school that had the Stussy X on it and everything?
probably does. Oh, that's awesome. Literally the next day when we were going to go hike up Mount Marcy to the highest point in New York, um, 4 people were like, "No, we're good. Yesterday was enough."
Oh geez. So they went all that way and then didn't even do the hike up the mountain.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So we ended up we got within a mile of the summit, and we didn't make it. It got dark. It was going to get dark. It was starting to get crazy cold. By the time we got to getting closer to the top, the snow was over waist deep on me.
Oh my goodness.
And we had to like form a line when you're busting fresh tracks like that. It is so hard.
Yeah.
So we didn't make it. So now they're all like, "We're doing it again this year, and we're gonna get there." Watch it drop another hammer
I
full
know.
of snow, and we'll get stuck again. We got back, and there's some people that maintain the cabins. There's no road to the cabin, so even the people that maintain them have to hike in.
Oh
And
geez.
the guy that he stays. There's the staff. There's 2 staff that stay at the main cabin, and he said, "Well, everyone will appreciate your hard work today, blazing the trail most of the way there.
Yeah.
It'll be now easier for everyone else."
You did the hard part and now everyone else gets to reap the benefits.
Yeah. We were so disappointed that we didn't make it to the top.
Yeah.
I was a little irritated. So now Miles is talking about doing it again. He's got that cabin lined up, and I'm like, I'm not sure I can come. It's a little too soon,
Yeah.
but we'll see.
Oh man. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for finally jumping on the pod. We've
Thanks
been
for having me on
talking
the pod.
we've been talking about this forever. Give
Yeah, yeah,
Melissa,
we have.
give Melissa a break.
Yeah, she can go get her JanSport backpacks out, and
Yeah.
she's trying to also draw a fake Nike sign on her shoes.
Yeah, there you
Got a
go.
Sharpie out. Oh man.
Well, we're back. We're back doing pods again. This is a
Back
good
to the pod.
this is a good first one back with your guys' trip. So
Yeah.
it's
I
good.
highly recommend anyone that wants to go to the Azores, you should do it. There's a lot of really cool stuff, and they're amazingly beautiful islands.
So are they is Madeira one of the islands right there too?
I think it is. Yeah, I didn't make it to that one, but it was. I don't think I did. What one's Punta Delgada on? That's the whatever the main island is the one I can't remember the name of because I didn't run on that island.
Yeah, I think
But
Madeira is the biggest island. Um, because they're kind of a ways off Portugal. They're closer to are they closer to Morocco?
they're halfway between the United States and Portugal.
Oh wow. So they're pretty far out.
Yeah, they're in the middle of nothing. And the beauty is now you can get a direct flight from New York or Boston straight to the Azores.
Madeira is different.
Oh, well. Is that on the play? Is that the play or is that different?
The
Where
what?
there's the play airlines in Newburgh. It's not out of Newburgh.
Oh,
It's in
no, it's New York City,
okay.
like JFK, I think.
That's cool.
Yeah, the islands, their wine is pretty awesome too, Portugal. Because after that, we went to the mainland for a little bit, and the Azores wine was really good. They had these volcanic rock walls everywhere. On day one, when we were running on Pico, I asked this guy, I said, "Why are all these volcanic rock walls just spiderwebbed everywhere?" He says, "For the vineyards."
Oh wow.
And that's what he said. The wind is so much here. Being stuck out in the middle of the Atlantic like that, I guess the wind probably would be pretty wild sometimes. And if the grapes are beating around and blowing in the wind all the time, they get a tougher skin and it changes the taste. So
Oh,
they've just built all these volcanic walls, rock walls, and that's what they grow on to, and that's what protects them from the wind. And they
oh
really put a little work into that.
yeah. That's awesome. Cool. All right, we got to wrap up. We only got a couple of minutes. Do you have a song you want to throw on the
Oh
old?
man, what song? I did have like I usually run with my earbuds in, and I was
Yeah.
running mostly with people, and I was coming off this big hill, and I kind of we all separated for a second, and I started opening it up, and I was like alone running for a minute, and I popped earbuds in, and it was such a nice moment just to be able to cut loose, run fast. I cut it down to like a 7 minute mile.
Oh wow.
My pace went way up, and I got to put music on. And I want to say, I'm trying to think of what it was that I was listening to because we're not putting Zooby 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 on. That was horrible. Um, I think I had a little playlist that started with Nutshell from Alice in Chains,
All right.
and then like literally like the next song was First by the Cold War Kids,
So
and
from Alice in Chains, first from the Cold
to
War.
Nutshell by Alice in Chains, and then the song First by the Cold War Kids was the next song. And I would say probably there's something about that song First that kind of just at the moment when I was cutting open, it just felt right, and I was having a good moment running.
Nice.
So let's go with that one.
Cool.
First by the Cold War Kids.
We'll put both on. We'll do two because I'll do two. I'll do
Okay.
Trauma Bonds by High Vis. I've been listening to High Vis a lot. They're really good. I'll send you them. And then Very Aggressive by Angel Dust. I'll
Nice.
send those two to you. They're a little faster, but
Nice.
they're good to run too.
Oh, if I'd have gotten a little farther, I'd have had I before I caught up with everybody. Uh, we got to an aid station, and it was about to do a turnstile song next, and I was like, no, I'm gonna be with people, and I want to hear this. Uh,
Yeah, unofficial Turnstile podcast too. So they come up quite frequently.
oh, there we go.
Yeah. Melissa, you
Yeah.
have a minute. What do you got? Do you have anything to add before we go?
No, I feel like 4 songs is what the people asked for. They don't want more songs. They want more talking, less songing. So 4 songs is perfect.
All right.
I love it.
Are you going to be back on your A game next week?
Okay, I was supporting my man.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
were,
no, we're ready to rock and roll, Jake. I
Well,
love it.
welcome home. We miss you
Thank you.
guys. Hopefully, we see you soon.
yeah,
Yeah, we will.
be awesome.
All right, we love you guys. Bye,
All right.
Chelsea.
Love you guys.
Give me that high vis stuff.
Yep, I'll send it later. Bye.
Bye.